Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is, what if Naruto went back in time with a female Kyuubi in his harem part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Naruto stares out the small window in his prison cell, looking at the few stars still shining in the early morning just before sunrise. In his heart, he wonders if his friends are looking down at him from the heavens, waiting for him to join them with open arms. All his friends were all killed in the many battles that enveloped Konoha since the last part of Tsunade's reign as Godime. The Hokage, along with her assistant Shizune, were the first to fall in the war against Oto, and all they have to show for their death was the fact they managed to take Yukushi Kabuto with them. Jiraiya was the next to go, falling in battle against the Akatsuki's Zetsu while trying to gather information on the organization. Team 8 and Team 10 all fell in battle against Iwa and Kumo along with Tamari and most of the Suna reinforcement. Gaara, Kankuro, Lee, and Guy all died fighting against the Akatsuki, who tried to attack Naruto after Konoha barely survived the war, even if they were able to take most of the Akatsuki with them. The rest of the more able ninjas all perished when Kiri, taking advantage of the other villages' weakened state after the drawn-out war, decides to attack the 4 villages. The village survived, barely, but the only people close to him and managed to remain alive were Kakashi and Sakura. That is, until they died at the hands of Sasuke, who had decided to seek a new goal after killing the weakened Itachi after the Akatsuki attacked Konoha. Under his command, Oto had already taken over Kumo, Kiri, and Iwa. Leaving the conquest of Suna to his underlings, he personally led the campaign against Konoha. Enraged at the death of his 2 surviving friends, Naruto killed Sasuke and his entire army with the power of the Kyuubi. Years of constant warfare took a heavy toll on every shinobi nation, devastating the countryside and flattening villages. The daimyos eventually decided to banish any surviving shinobi, and imprison the only surviving Kage, Uzumaki Naruto, the Rokudaime Hokage. Naruto had already spent 6 months in this small cell with nothing beside a few made-up charges. However, the daimyos decided that they will use Naruto as an example to warn any surviving shinobi by charging him with treason and sentencing him to death. During the hearings, Naruto never uttered a word to defend himself or admit to the offense, having long known that it wouldn't make a difference. Instead, he spends most of his time staring at the sky or communicating with the Kyuubi. The execution will take place at noon today and the guards outside are running about, preparing to carry out the order of their superiors. Kit, Kyuubi says from the seal. What do you want now, Kyuubi? It's almost time. I know that. I assume you know what you do. Yes. You only told me 238 times. I'm only being repetitive because the timing has to be perfect or it won't work. If it doesn't work then you get to have your fun terrorizing the world, I don't see any problem. I'm not doing this for my own good, you ungrateful Kit. Don't worry Kyuubi, I'll be fine. There is something about the technique that I haven't mentioned to you. Well, then go ahead. It's not time for that yet. You'll find out in due time. Besides, we have visitors, Kit. What do you guys want? Naruto asks without turning around to face the guards. Be grateful that we're even bringing you your last meal, punk. I'm sure that adding a few counts of murder doesn't change much, Kyuubi interjects from the seal. Cut it out, Kyuubi. Why? If it doesn't make a difference to the fools handing down the sentence and it makes us feel better, why can't we do it? You're forgetting something in between. These fools' families. I'll be damned if I give them any reason to hate me when I die. Che, you're no fun. Like they don't feel that way about you already. If they don't hate you, you won't be sitting here. I thought you had enough fun when you wreaked havoc on the Oto army a few months ago. I did, but more fun never hurts. If you ain't going to eat then I'm going to take the plates with me, the guard yells after getting no response. Go ahead, I won't be needing it in a few hours. Beside, it's against my policy to take poison right before being executed. Why you punk? Naruto releases a spike of chakra to push the guard out of his cell and closes the door behind him. Closing his eyes, Naruto goes through all the procedure in his head once again so Kyuubi will stop bothering him about it. Eventually, a larger group of guards enters the cell to escort him to the execution ground. As Naruto stands up, all the guards back up a couple of steps as the Rokudime easily towers over them by at least 6 inches. Scaring them even more are the blood-red eyes that stares back at them when Naruto turns around, the last reminder of what Naruto contains in his body. Gulping, the leader of the guards put the cuffs on Naruto's wrists and leads him out of the cell. On their way, not a single person came to see the last Hokage off on his final journey, being forbidden by the daimyos to so much as to weep for him. Your time has finally come, the official witnessing the execution says. The entire execution ground is empty beside Naruto, the official, the executioner, and a few guards. Kyuubi scoffs at the amount of defense at the ground. If Naruto has any desire to flee, he can do it easily with this pathetic amount of people watching him. If not for the fact that Naruto needs to die for the plan to work, he is certain that Naruto would have been miles away by now. Any last words, you monster? On second thought, I don't even want to hear it. Executioner, do you job? Nodding his head, the executioner approaches Naruto. No one notices that a small bit of red chakra is coming out of Naruto's hand or that he is going through a long series of hand seal. Raising his blade, the executioner swings his arms down just as Naruto completes the sequence. A large burst of chakra erupts the moment the blade goes through Naruto's neck and the executioner is killed immediately. The official and the guards barely have enough time to register what is happening before they are also engulfed by the chakra. If anyone looks toward the sky, they would be able to see a large column of red chakra shooting up to before slowly dissipating. When Naruto opens his eyes again, he finds himself being held by someone as they travel at a high speed. Trying to struggle out of the person's arms, Naruto finds that he doesn't have nearly enough strength to get away. When the pair finally stops, Naruto sees the Kyuubi standing in front of him and the person holding him standing on top of Gamabunta. Finally realizing where he is, Naruto tries to reach out and grab the person's arm before he can complete the last seal but is powerless to do so and he finds himself in the presence of the Shinigami. Instead of doing what the person intends for it to do, the Shinigami reaches past the person and Naruto directly at the Kyuubi. What's going on? Namikaze. Normally I should take your soul away for bringing me to this realm. You should be glad that your child and his companion have given me a sacrifice to save your life, the Shinigami says. Now Kyuubi, be gone. Go back to your resting place. The time for your awakening will come, but for now, recuperate and be prepared to fulfill your purpose. Very well Shinigami-sama. What is happening? Yondaime asks again. You will find your answer in due time as well, the Shinigami says before disappearing with the Kyuubi. As soon as the Kyuubi disappears, a silver-haired ninja appears next to Yondaime. He casts a confused glance at how the baby is staring at him in a disturbing way, but ignores it and turns toward the Hokage. Sensei, is the Kyuubi gone? I thought that your technique would, not that I'm unhappy with you being alive. I understand Kakashi. Even though I'm not entirely sure myself, the Kyuubi is indeed gone. I will deliver the news to Sandaime-sama and the rest of the village. Go ahead, the Yondaime says before turning toward the child in his arm. Naruto, you are a very special child, aren't you? If he doesn't know any better, Yondaime Hokage can almost swear that he can see a hint of pride in his son's eyes and a smirk on his face. Sighing, Namikaze Minato heads back toward the village with what is left of the ninja squads that were sent out to contain the Kyuubi. As soon as he steps into his office, he is bombarded with questions from everyone present, which includes his predecessor, the council elders and the various clan heads. As the sealing unsuccessful, Sandame asks. No, I never managed to get to the sealing procedure. The Shinigami simply says something about my child offering sacrifices and orders the Kyuubi to leave. But how? One of the councilmen asks. The Shinigami only tells me that I will find my answer in due time. It's been a long few days. I think it's time for us to return to our homes and rest, Sandame says before anyone else can raise any questions. Yes, I think it would be best. A 4-year-old Naruto runs away from the scene of his latest prank, after having put an illusion in the Yamanaka flower shop, turning it into a store full of man-eating plants and scaring every customer, as well as the family that runs the shop, out of their mind and out of the store. Right now, an irate Inoichi is running after him from rooftop to rooftop. Back at the store, his wife is still trying to calm their crying daughter who refuses to return to the store. Eventually, Naruto crashes into his father's office with Inoichi following him inside a few moments later, his anger completely blocking all thoughts of identifying where he is. All right, Naruto, what did you do this time? Minato asks, looking up from his paperwork. Hokage-sama. It's okay, Inoichi. I'm sure my son has caused a lot trouble, Minato says before turning back toward his son. Would you ever stop giving me trouble? I'm still trying to keep the Naras from trying to kill you for painting the nose of every deer they own to red and dangling ornaments in their antlers. As soon as you take me to the Shrine of Fire like you promised. The Shrine of Fire? Inoichi asks, his anger completely forgotten in the presence of the village's leader. Yes. He has been clamoring about it ever since he knows how to talk. I'm still trying to figure out how he found out about such an out-of-the-way shrine. Excuse me, but perchance it has something to do with it. There is a chance that may be it, but Naruto simply refuses to tell me the reason. I want to go. I want to go. Naruto screams like the child he is. Fine, fine. As soon as I take care of what you did to Inoichi, I will find Sarutobi-sama to watch the village for a few days. Now, what did you do? Ino-chan says that I'm weak. I showed her. I'm not the one crying my eyes out and refusing to go back home. Inoichi, what did he do? Minato asks, sighing. He put a genjutsu over my shop, turning it into a man-eating plant paradise. Normally I would be impressed that someone as young as Naruto can handle such a genjutsu, but to use it on my shop while Ino's still inside. I understand, Inoichi. I'll take Naruto over to your place and apologize to your family. After that, I will punish him accordingly. The punishment ends up being having Naruto study in the library under Chunin's supervision. Ino complained about the punishment after finally calming down, but to Naruto, not being allowed to run around or talk loudly would be crueler than anything Minato can think of. After serving out his sentence, Minato asks the Sandame to step in for a week and takes his son to the Shrine of Fire in the forest north of the village. Why is this place so run down? Naruto asks when he arrives. This shrine hasn't been in use since Nadime's time, Naruto. Great. Now I have to look all over to find the stupid fox. Why didn't he tell me this is what the place looks like? I didn't know this place turned out this way either, stupid brat. A voice booms, it was still perfectly fine when I left. Who said that? Minato says, looking every which way. All right, where are you, you stupid fox? If you clear a path amongst the rubble to the middle of the shrine, you'll see a stairway down. Naruto, who are you talking to? Dad, come on, you heard him, let's go. But, Minato's sweat drops as he looks at his son crossing his arms, pouting, and tapping his foot impatiently. Sighing, Minato gestures for his son to step back before creating several Kage Bunshin to move away the rubble. He could have used his Rasengan to clear the land, but he has a sneaking suspicion that he'll want to preserve the shrine as much as possible. When everything is out of the way, Naruto pulls his father toward the stairwell that is hidden where the altar should have been. Once underground, the pair follows the straightforward path until it reaches a door. Before his father can even stop him, Naruto opens the door. So you finally decide to show up. Being trapped here was worse than being trapped in your stomach, and you know how much I hate being trapped in your stomach. The booming voice comes out from a vase in the middle of the room. How did you end up trapped in a vase? No thanks to the stupid Shinigami. He said I have to stay hidden here in case someone frees me before my time comes. If I had known this would happen, I would have kept attacking the village for the heck of it. The darn raccoon was trapped in something roomier than this. Fine, fine. Shut up already, you stupid fox. How do I get you out? Only you can remove the seal on the mouth of the vase. Take it off and I'll be out. Wait a minute. Why should my son release the demon that attacked the village just a couple of years ago? Because if you want your son to get stronger, you'll need me. What is all this nonsense now? Dad, it's a long story. I'll tell you all about it after I let the stupid fox out so he'll stop his complaining. Ignoring his father's complaints, Naruto removes the seal on the vase and a large cloud of smoke soon engulfs the room. When the smoke clears, a miniature Kyuubi is stretching where the vase had been. Finally, I'm out again. Why do you look so small? Stupid brat. I can't have this place caving in while the three of us are still in here now, can I? Naruto. Oh, right, the explanation. Sit tight, Dad. I can't have you fainting on me. I'll try, Minato says, looking between his son and the small nine-tailed fox. It takes about half an hour for Naruto to give a brief summary of what happened in his previous life and how he ended up here and saving his father's life. It takes quite a bit of effort, but Minato manages to stay conscious from all the information. Seeing that his father needs some time to digest all the information, Naruto turns toward the miniature fox to his side as it takes out a small scroll hidden in one of the loose walls. What are you doing? This is the summoning scroll for the fox. Sign it while I bring someone out to keep an eye on you until you're ready to train with me. What do you mean keep an eye on me? Naruto asks as he signs the contract. We can't exactly have a nine-tailed fox walking around the village while I'm waiting for you to grow physically. I'm sending one of my guards to protect you and prepare you until you're ready for my training. Oh, Kyuubi-sama, did you call for me? A fox asks, coming through a portal created by the Kyuubi. Yes, I've picked this kid, so keep an eye on him until he's ready. Very well, Kyuubi-sama. Wait a minute, my village is still very weary of anything that has to do with foxes, Minato says, finally joining the conversation. Even if she's a silver fox. Fine, Kyuubi says as he turns toward the other fox, this will hurt a bit. Naruto and Minato stare dumbfounded as Kyuubi attacks the silver fox, leaving behind several deep wounds. Gesturing toward the injured fox with his head, Kyuubi asks the two to take the fox back for treatment and make up some excuse of finding her in the wild. Deeming it as a passable excuse to alleviate fears of people perceiving it as a demon, Minato picks up the injured fox and heads out of the shrine. So where are you going to go now? I will return to the demon realm with the scroll for a small bit just in case anyone tries to cause any troubles for me. I have no idea if the Akatsuki has taken form yet, but keep an eye on some of their members and targets. Got it. Naruto, come on. This silver fox may be a demon, but those are some pretty nasty wounds, Minato screams from the entrance. Okay, I'm coming. I will see you in a few years, Kit, Kyuubi says before disappearing in a swirl of red chakra. The village gets into a small uproar when the people see their leader bringing back an injured fox. They only stop their tirades when Minato explains that he found the fox as it was being attacked by a boar and that no demon would allow itself to be wounded this badly without fighting back. It took about a week, but the Inuzukas managed to nurse the fox back to its feet and Naruto takes it home that very day. When they get home that day, Naruto finds his father looking over a scroll with an annoyed look on his face. What's wrong, Dad? It's just some diplomatic message I got from a foreign village. It's nothing you have to worry about. Hey, come on. I was a Hokage too. Tell me what it says. It's a message from Kumo. It says that the Raikage wants to send over an ambassador to negotiate and sign a peace treaty. Now that you mention it, I remember something that Neji told me during my first Shunin exam. Neji. As in Hyuga Neji. Yeah, that's him. He told me that the Kumo, ambassador, was there to kidnap Hinata-chan. What? I'm going to refuse this request. Wait, I have an idea. Oh, you remember how I told you about an organization named Akatsuki, right? Yes. What does that have to do with this? Just let him come in. We'll catch him in the act, alive, then I'll tell you the rest of my plan. Oh, and we'll need to invite the case cage too, just as a witness. Just make up an excuse that since Suna is our ally, so they'll have to be part of the negotiations as well. I really need to be careful around you. Who know how many more devious plots you have in that brain of yours? Hey, I do have over 30 years of pranking experience, or did you forget about that? It still hasn't completely sunk in. It's too far-fetched to believe, but all the evidences make it hard not to believe it. I felt the same way when the stupid fox first told me about it. Ow. What did you bite me for? How dare you disrespect Kyuubi-sama? I've always called him that. I've been calling him that for over 20 years. If he doesn't care about that, then why should you? Kyuubi-sama is the master of the demon foxes. I will not allow you to disrespect him. Bah, whatever. Dang, this hurts. Even if I kept some of Kyuubi's regenerative powers, it's still not healing as fast. Move your hand away. Looking at the fox in confusion, Naruto simply ignores the fox and continues to nurse his wound. Annoyed, the fox moves Naruto's hand away with its snout and starts eating the wound. Naruto winces initially from the pain until he notices that the wound is closing up much more rapidly than before. The silver fox backs away when the wound has completely closed up. My saliva has the same healing power as Kyuubi-sama's chakra. So do all silver foxes. No, just me. Oh, okay, I'm finally done with my response message. You mean to tell me that you didn't even pay attention to me when I was attacked? I'm sure you can take care of yourself. Alright, I'll just have Kakashi and Rin send this message back. Wait a minute, Rin. As in your student? Yes, what of it? Now that I think about it, you still haven't met either of them yet, have you? At least in this lifetime, Minato says, that time right after the Shinigami sent Kyuubi away didn't count. That doesn't matter right now. I don't think you should send her. Why not? Kakashi and her have been working together ever since Obito died. Kakashi-sensei never told me how either of his teammates died, but he was very aggressive when he was fighting against the Kumo nins when they attacked. Even more so than the Iwa nins. But Obito died in Iwa, he absolutely hate their guts. That's why I think that Rin-ne-chan might have died in Kumo. But then why would the old man let the Kumo nin enter Konoha if they killed Rin on this mission? Maybe Rin-ne-chan found out something and confronted the head ninja after he got to Konoha. That could be the case. I suppose I can send someone else, but who should I send? He doesn't work well with anyone else. How about Guy-sensei? I'm sure his power of youth will make Kakashi-sensei come to his senses. Did Kakashi torment you in your previous life? Why do you want to punish him like that? Spending that much time with Maida Guy will drive anyone crazy. Tenten-chan came out just fine if you ignore the weapon fetish, though Neji and Lee were a bit off when I first met them. I don't think I want to ask who this Lee is. Alright, I'll send Guy with Kakashi this time. I'll have Rin work on training you so they don't suspect anything. After all, Rin is the best at teaching the basics, and from what you told me, that's your worst area. It's not my fault that I haven't had a decent sensei that would teach me the basic from the academy through the time I became Hokage. Yes, but you don't have to worry about that this time around. Alright, time for bed, young man. I'll have Rin teach you starting tomorrow. What? But it's not even that late. No matter how old you are mentally, you're still a kid physically. Off to bed you go. But I could have helped you with the paperwork. Maybe you should have taken that into consideration before spending the day showing off your new friend to everyone. Ah, but the girls just won't stop petting her even if I told them I have to get home. Then that's not my problem. Off to bed. The next day, 5 young ninjas are summoned to the Hokage's office. When they arrive, they are surprised to find the Hokage's young son also sitting in the room. Hokage-sama, why have you called us here so urgently? Is there a youthful task that wish for us to accomplish? Yes. In fact, I have 2 missions that I need taken care of. Hokage-sensei, what is it? Why do you insist on calling me that Rin? Anyway, Kakashi, Guy, you two are to deliver this message scroll to Kumogakure and escort their ambassador to Konoha. Asuma, Kurenai, you two are to deliver this scroll to Sunagakure and return with their response. Rin, your job is to start training Naruto in the basics of being a ninja. But Hokage-sensei, nice to meet you Rin-ne-chan. One look at Naruto's eyes and Minato knows that he has won the battle. Sighing, Kakashi places his hand on Rin's shoulder nodding before leaving with Guy, who has already taken the scroll and is halfway down the staircase screaming about the powers of youth. Shaking their heads, Asuma and Kurenai pick up the other scroll before leaving the last 3 occupants in the room. Hokage-sensei, what about our other guest that I'm taking care of? Oh, I'm sure you can introduce her to Naruto. Hi Hokage-sensei. Really now, Rin, stop calling me that. But Namikaze-sensei sounds too informal and Hokage-sama sounds too formal. Rin whines, besides, I like calling you Hokage-sensei. Fine, just get on with your mission. I still have a lot of work to do. Oh, make sure you bring Naruto home by 6. I have to take him over to the Hyuga compound. Hiyashi invited me over for dinner at the compound tonight. Okay, come on, Naruto-kun. Coming. Come on Ginkgo-chan. Rin is slightly unnerved by the sight of such a large fox accompanying Naruto. She doesn't feel the same way about foxes as some of the villagers do, but from what she knows, that has been a wild fox up until a week ago, and it might suddenly attack the boy. However, she figures that if the Hokage allows it to be around Naruto all the time, maybe the Inuzuka worked wonders and tamed it within the week. Shrugging off the thought, Rin makes a quick stop back at her house to pick up her other guest before setting off toward the nearest training ground. On the way, Naruto can't take his eyes off the new addition. Man, I can't believe this. I knew Kakashi-sensei saved Koyuki Haim but I never thought that he brought her back to Konoha. I thought Sandayu took her with him as soon as Kakashi-sensei got out of Yuki no Kuni. Naruto thinks, she's still as cold to everyone as when I first met her though. Is something the matter? Ginkgo whispers so that only Naruto can hear her. Hey, when we get to the training ground, can you help me cheer up Koyuki Haim? You seemed to work wonders yesterday. Fine, whatever. I'll try. Man, you're almost as cold as Koyuki Haim, Ginkgo-chan. Well, don't expect me to turn good and kiss you on the cheek after you got knocked out. Okay, we're here. Naruto looks up at Rin's words and immediately represses the urge to groan. Everything from the 3 tree stumps to the memorial stone near the edge of the training ground, Team 7's training ground doesn't look any different than the one Kakashi took Team 7 to after they first became a team. Is something wrong Naruto? No, it's just that I don't particularly like seeing that stone. Makes me sad looking at all the names. Naruto-kun, those are the names of the heroes of the village. You should show them respect, not try to look away from it. Is that the only way for ninjas to be respected or be seen as a hero by the villagers? To die and have their name on that stone? That's not true Naruto-kun. You and your father are seen as heroes for chasing away the Kyuubi. But so many other people died because of the attack just for us to be seen that way. I don't want it to happen that way. Naruto-kun, you're a really kind child, Rin says, giving Naruto a quick hug. Well, then you'll just have to get really strong so you can protect them from dying. I swear that I will take over for my old man when the time comes and become the best Hokage Konoha has ever seen. That's the spirit, Naruto-kun. To be able to do that though, you'll have to get through my trainings first. Hi Rin-ne-chan. Okay Naruto-kun. I'm sure that Hokage-sensei already told you about the basics of chakra. I'm going to teach you how to control it properly. Oh, I just remembered something. Can you give me a moment, Rin-ne-chan? Sure. Go ahead, Rin says as Naruto and Ginkgo walks over to Koyuki. Hey, can you keep an eye on Ginkgo-chan for me? Koyuki takes one look at Naruto and Ginkgo before nodding her head reluctantly. Rin has been getting on her for her to become more social ever since Kakashi brought her back to Konoha. She feels that it won't do to upset the ones taking care of her, and it's just an animal, so it's not like she will have anyone bothering her. Smiling, Naruto gives Ginkgo a wink before scrambling back Rin, who is watching the exchange with an amused look on her face. The pair spends the rest of the day going over the proper way of molding chakra, weapon throwing, and even a few crash courses on battle strategies. Every now and then, the pair would look over toward Koyuki and find her either stroking Ginkgo's fur or whispering into Ginkgo's ears. By the time they head home that evening, Koyuki keeps glancing over at the silver fox, not wanting to part with it. Seeing her reaction, Rin suggests for Koyuki to stay over at Naruto's house, which she eagerly agrees to. By the time Kakashi and Guy escorted the Kumo Nin back to Konoha, both Kakashi and the Kumo Nin can't wait to be rid of Guy and his youthful speeches. Kakashi decides to send Guy on his way and report to the Hokage with the Kumo Nin by himself before Guy annoys the representative any further and destroys the potential for a successful negotiation. Kakashi noticed that the Kumo Nin seemed surprised when Kakashi told him that Suna would also be sending a representative to Konoha, and Kakashi has been keeping a close eye on him ever since. The more Kakashi observes him, the more curious Kakashi becomes. The Kumo Nin kept asking Guy about all the major clans of Konoha on the trip after failing on his first attempt with Kakashi, disguising it poorly as mere curiosity about the strength of Konoha before negotiation. Of course, Kakashi talked to Guy about that after the Kumo Nin failed with Kakashi, so Guy had been holding back a large amount of information, even if none of them are of any significance to the defense of the village. Leading the Kumo Nin to the Hokage's office, Kakashi knocks on the door and enters when he is told to do so. Ah, Kakashi, you're back. Asuma, Kurenai, you two are back already. I would have thought that you two would spend some time on your own before coming back. Unlike you, we don't like slacking off. Where's Guy? I sent him back home. It's been a long trip. Minato, Asuma, and Kurenai sigh at Kakashi's statement, knowing exactly what he means. Looking past Kakashi, Minato smiles at the Kumo Nin standing on the side. Calling for his assistant, Minato asks the man to escort the Kumo Nin to the hotel and says that they will begin the negotiation the next day. Kakashi, Minato says after the Kumo Nin left. He was asking about the village's ninjas on the entire trip. I see. Maybe my suspicion is not entirely unfounded after all. Very well, the three of you go and get some rest. You've all had a long trip. Hi, Hokage-sama. Hokage-sama, is Rin still? Kakashi asks. Oh, she should be training Naruto at Training Ground 7 right now. Then what about? Koyuki is also there. She seems to have really hit it off with Naruto, well, with Ginkgo at least. Oh, of all the things, the silver fox was what it took to get that princess out of her shell. Asuma asks. She's been keeping everything inside. I guess she thinks that Ginkgo is someone who would listen to her without letting anyone know what she's feeling. After all, it's best for her to get everything off her chest. I suppose that is true, that poor girl, Kurenai says. But that would mean that she's still not ready to socialize with others yet, Asuma says. She has opened up to Rin and Naruto somewhat, at least they are getting more than one-word responses. I'll go check on them then, Kakashi says. I guess I'll go visit Koyuki-chan too. Asuma, are you coming? Not like I have anything else to do. I guess I'll check on Naruto's progress and take him to lunch too. Hokage-sama. What? Is it such a crime that I want to get away from all the paperwork for a while? No sir. Kurenai blurts out quickly. The four ninjas arrive to the training ground and find Koyuki off to the side playing with Ginkgo and Rin staring at Naruto dumbfounded. Rin, what's wrong? Hokage-sensei. When did you teach Naruto-kun your prize technique? You won't even teach me that. It's not fair. What? The Rasengan. Naruto-kun already knows the first two stages, as well as he can perform it given his lack of chakra. Oh, Minato says, looking equally as shocked as everyone else before catching himself, so he has gotten that far along has he? Hokage-sensei, I want to learn that technique too. Rin whines. Really now Rin, you're not a little kid anymore. I want to learn it. Fine, Naruto, why don't you show Rin how to perform the first two stages of the Rasengan? Okay, I can't believe he can learn that technique at such a young age. It took me forever to even grasp the basics of the technique. He is my son after all Kakashi. I know he'll make a great ninja. Hokage-sama, you are quite difficult to find these days, a voice says behind the group. Oh, Kazekage-sama, is something the matter? There is a small issue that I wish to discuss with you. Your assistant told me that I would be able to find you here. May we talk in private? Of course. Temari, Kankuro, Gaara, the three of you may get some light training in. Don't cause any trouble. Yes, father, Temari says. Kakashi, Asuma, Kurenai, keep an eye on the children. Hi Hokage-sama. Naruto turns around as his father walks away with the cage. Rin starts bugging Naruto again to teach her the Rasengan, but Naruto instead walks toward the Suna siblings. Hey, my name's Namikaze Naruto, Naruto says, extending his hand toward Gaara. I'm Sabaku Temari. These are my brothers Kankuro and Gaara. Temari answers instead as Gaara stares at Naruto's outstretched hand in confusion. Please excuse Gaara, he's somewhat shy. It's okay. You are Hokage-sama's son, right? Temari asks. Yep. Hey, do the three of you want to be my friend? Friend. Gaara whispers. Yeah, I suppose, Temari says, looking nervously at her brother, right Gaara? Yes, Gaara says before whispering, it's not like it will last long either way. Don't be so negative Gaara, Naruto says, patting Gaara on the shoulder. Why didn't the sand? Kankuro, be quiet, Temari hisses. I see the four of you have really hit it off, the cage says. Hokage-sama. Father, you have returned, Temari says. Yes. Actually, it's good that you have become friends. The three of you will be staying at Konoha. Hokage-sama knows someone who would be able to treat Gaara's condition. But what about you, father? I don't think you would be able to stay here for that long. I'm going to be heading back to the village, of course. You're going to leave the three of us here by ourselves. I expect the three of you to behave while you're here. I will be staying in Konoha until the treaty is agreed to and I'll come back when it's ready to be signed. After that I will be heading back to Suna. But what about the Ninja Academy? The three of you will be studying in the Konoha Ninja Academy until Gaara's condition is fully treated. Very well, father. Temari-chan, cheer up. Now we can all hang out together. Temari shows Naruto a forced smile before turning toward her two siblings and lecturing them, though mostly directed toward Kankuro, on the proper behavior as they stay in a foreign village. Naruto shows a quick smile toward his father before Rin pulls him toward the middle of the training ground again and bothers the boy until he shows her how to perform the Rasengan. Well, Rin-ne-chan, it's not like I don't want to teach you, but I can't just teach you the technique for free, you know. Fine, what do you want? A trip to the ramen stand. Actually, if you can talk Kakashi-sensei into teaching me the Reikiri. No way, Kakashi says, bonking Naruto on the head. But Kakashi ni. Let me do the talking, Naruto-kun. Oh Kakashi-kun. What is it, Rin? If you don't want to see your little books disappear in a Kaden Jutsu accident, you'll teach Naruto-kun the Reikiri. Wait a minute now, Rin. That's not really playing fair. I want to learn the Rasengan. I don't care what I have to do to learn it. I can teach you that myself. Right, by showing me once and telling me to figure it out myself. Well, I suppose I can show it to Naruto. Slowly. I want to see the hand seals. Fine, but let's find some place more private. The great Hatake Kakashi, beaten by a kid, Asuma says, chuckling. I assure you that Naruto-kun is very persuasive. I have an empty wallet to prove it, Rin says. Speaking of which, Hokage-sensei, I want to be paid back for all the trips to the ramen stands Naruto-kun took when we trained. Fine, fine. Just send me the bill and I'll submit it to the mission room. I swear this kid is going to empty Konoha's coffers through his stomach. It may be more economical to hire Tsuki to be my family cook than to have Naruto visit his stand every day. You know, now that I think about it, that might not be such a bad idea. I'm going to talk to him after this. Do you mean it, old man? Naruto, how did you get back so quickly? All I need is to see the hand seals. I can figure out the rest by myself. And if I really need help, I'm sure Rin-ne-chan would be more than willing to teach me. Sure, as long as you hold to your part of the deal. Of course, I never break my promises. The negotiations progressed quickly, and the Kumo Nin returned to his village to report the final agreement. The Kumo Nin promised that his village will send an actual ambassador to officially sign the agreement once Kumo cleared the treaty. A month later, Konoha receives a message that Kumo is sending a second delegation to officially sign the treaty, and Konoha sends a copy of that message to Suna to invite the Kazekage, who had returned to his village after the Kumo Nin left Konoha. All right, Naruto, do you really think Kumo will try to kidnap Hinata? Minato asks while working on the mountains of paperwork in his office. Yep, right on the day of Hinata-chan's birthday. So how should we deal with this? I was kinda hoping you could give me one of your 3-prong kunais and help Ginko-chan and I get inside the Hyuga compound for Hinata-chan's birthday, Naruto says, patting Ginko on the head. Ginko-chan and I can get the Kumo Nin, then you can use your Hiraishin to pick him up. Naruto, cut it out, I'm not your pet. Ah, you let the girls do it. Yes, but they don't try to break my neck with every strike. Fine. Back on topic. It might be difficult to get you in there. The Hyugas are rather reserved about those kinds of things. I don't care. You help me get in there. I want to stay there for the night. That's when the Kumo Nin will strike. Fine. I'll have a word with Hiashi. I already told the guards at the compound to tell Hiashi Jii-san that you are looking for him. He should be here any moment now. Couldn't you have at least give me a little bit of time to plan how I should explain this to him? You're just going to delay it and nothing gets done in the end. How did you ever manage to become the Hokage with that attitude? Tsunade Ba-chan wanted me to fulfill her brother and her boyfriend's dream for them. Hokage-sama, Hiashi-sama is here to speak with you, his assistant says through the door. Send him in, please. Hokage-sama, I was told that you are looking for me. Hiashi says, taking a seat at the table while completely ignoring Naruto's presence in the room. Yes, well, you see, my son knows that your daughter's birthday is coming up, so, he wants to, come over to your house to celebrate with her that day. I see, if I may be so bold, what is the real reason? As the Hokage, you almost never speak in the manner you did unless you are very nervous. He just wants me out of the way because I caused so much trouble to the last Kumo Nin they sent here, Naruto says, kneeling next to Ginko. Yes, it was rather embarrassing really, Minato says, catching on to his son's plan. It's an excuse if the delegates they send over wants to see Naruto. That and the fact that Hinata is a good friend of Naruto. Very well. I will alert my clan that there will be a guest that day. I was hoping that, since I don't know how long the ceremonies will last, perhaps Naruto can stay there for the night. I can really do without his pranks while entertaining the delegates from Kumo and Suna. Yes, Naruto's pranks are somewhat legendary in Konoha these days. I understand. I will have my servants prepare a guest room for him. Arigato, Hiashi-jii-san. Oh, can I bring Ginkgo-chan with me? I don't see why not. It would appear that my daughter is rather fond of that fox herself. You take that long to decide if you want me there and you barely thought about Ginkgo-chan. Ginkgo doesn't cause nearly as much trouble as you do Naruto. That's not fair, Hiashi-jii-san. Regardless, if that is all, Hokage-sama. Yes. That will be all. I will send Naruto over first thing that morning. Very well, I shall take my leave now. A week later, before he heads to the gate to welcome the Kumo delegate along with most of Konoha's citizens, Minato drops Naruto off at the Hyuga compound and hands him a 3-pronged kunai and a signal flare. Naruto, be careful, all right? Don't worry, I have Ginkgo-chan with me. We should be more concerned about keeping the Kumo nin away from the Hyugas. We need him alive. Do what you need to. You have my permission to use that level 2 Rasengan you've been working on. That should be strong enough to knock him out and weak enough to keep him alive. Okay, I've been waiting for you to tell me that. The day progresses as normal, with everyone oblivious to what will happen. Later that night, Naruto manages to convince Hiashi to allow him to stay in Hinata's room with promises of a prank for the ages if he refuses. What Naruto doesn't know is that even if he didn't threaten Hiashi, Hiashi would have agreed anyway because he still feels that Minato and Naruto are still planning something and it involves his daughter. Hiashi decides that he will stay awake to see what Naruto is planning. What he comes across is the Kumo nin that is sent to sign the treaty attempting to kidnap Hinata, and before he can even move in, Naruto already knocked the Kumo nin out with the help of the silver fox. Staying on the sideline, he watches as Naruto plants the 3-pronged kunai in the ground and launches the signal flare. Within moments, Minato appears on the scene with the Kazekage along with several members of the Hyuga clan who are close to the scene. So, your info is correct after all, Hokage-sama. Kumo really is trying to kidnap Hyuga Hinata. Yes. I hope that it isn't so, Kazekage-sama. After all, out 3 villages just signed the treaty. What do you intend to do now, Hokage-sama? I would prefer if you execute him for his crimes, Hiashi says, walking out from his hiding spot. No. We need to make him admit his crimes first. I will have Morino and Mitarashi talk to him. Then I will send the confession to Kumo. Once you have obtained a confession, I shall vouch for its validity. Thank you, Kazekage-sama. Ordering several of his Anbu to take the prisoner to the interrogation department, Minato takes Naruto and Ginkgo home, making up an excuse that the Hyugas need time to sort everything out. However, instead of taking Naruto home, they head back to the Hokage office. All right, we got the kidnapper. Now can you tell me what you are planning? It's only right that we demand reparation from Kumo, right? I suppose that would be a fair request, yes. I want you to demand someone by the name of Ni Yugito. Ni Yugito? Why, Yugito-chan is the Nibi Jinchuriki. I highly doubt they will hand over something so valuable. With the threat of Konoha and Suna retaliating, I think they'll give it careful consideration. Iwa is still too weak from the last war, and Kiri has too much internal troubles to care about the other villages. Oh, so he does have a brain after all. Ginkgo-chan, that wasn't very nice, Naruto says. Then mind telling me why did a 4-year-old decides charge a foreign Junin that can kill him with a flick of the finger? Hey, we got him in the end, didn't we? I got him. You're just lucky to still be alive. But my Rasengan knocked him out. Which you are only able to hit him with because I have his entire attention. Okay. Quit arguing. I'll write the message. You two get some rest. It's been a long day, Minato says. True to Naruto's word, as soon as the confession and the Hokage's message arrives in Kumo, the Raikage agreed to the stipulations, albeit begrudgingly. The Raikage attempted to send another girl and have her pose as Yugito, but the four ninjas the Hokage sent, Kakashi, Asuma, Kurenai, Guy, to deliver the message and guard the prisoner back to Konoha easily spotted the fake with some of the civilians of Kumo. In fact, having the squad go to the civilians first is part of Naruto's plan, to expose that the Raikage almost dragged Kumo into another war and turn the people against the Raikage and support Konoha's minor demand in exchange for peace. Yugito-chan, we should be arriving to Konoha in another hour, Kurenai says. Arigato, Yuahi-san. I understand that you miss your ville. I do not miss it. But, I hate that village. I'm glad that I'm no longer living in Kumo. Don't worry. It'll all be better once you get to Konoha. I am here as a prisoner. The people of Konoha would only continue to look down on me. Ahaya, Kurenai ne-chan. A boy screams as he jumps into the carriage. You must be Yugito-chan, right? Yes, Yugito says, completely shocked by Naruto's entrance. Naruto-kun, what are you doing all the way out here? Well, since a very important guest is coming to the village, it's only right that the Hokage sends someone to welcome the guest. And I assume that means that you nagged Hokage-sama into letting you come all the way out here by yourself. Ginkgo-chan is with me too, Naruto answers as the silver fox also jumps into the carriage. Yugito stares at the fox for a few moments before spacing out completely. Kurenai looks on in confusion, trying to stay on the sideline as the scenes unfold by themselves. The other three ninjas are all leaning in, trying to pick up bits and pieces of the conversation as they escort the caravan back to Konoha. A few moments later, Yugito gingerly reaches out toward the fox with trembling hands. Instead of waiting for Yugito's hand to reach her, Ginkgo simply walks up next to Yugito. It almost looks like she's trying to pick up Ginkgo's scent. What is going on? Kurenai thinks to herself. Gently petting Ginkgo, Yugito turns her attention to Naruto and stares at the boy. Not finding what she's looking for, Yugito leans in to take a closer look. Kyuubi isn't sealed in me, Naruto says, shocking everyone within hearing range. Then how? It's a long story. I'll tell you when we get to Konoha, okay, Yugito-chan. Naruto says, smiling, oh, Kurenai ne-chan, Dad says that Yugito-chan can live with me. But I thought Hokage-sama is already entertaining Kazekage-sama's children. Don't worry, Kurenai ne-chan, the Namikaze mansion have plenty of space, Naruto says before muttering to himself, mainly because we don't have any servants and have to do everything by ourselves. Training for shinobi life, he's just a cheapskate. You're just upset that Hokage-sama still haven't hired Tsuki-san to be the family cook, Naruto. He said he would ask Tsuki-jiji. It's not fair, Kurenai ne-chan. I can understand Hokage-sama's hesitancy. After all, it's not very healthy to just eat ramen every meal. This is Hokage-sama's son. He looks like an idiot, but this fox, Yugito thinks to herself as she watches the others. He said Kyuubi isn't sealed in him. Could it be that Neko made a mistake? What does this all mean? Naruto, stop moving around, we're almost there, Kakashi says from the outside. Okay, Naruto says before turning his attention on Yugito. What's wrong, Yugito-chan? You're being awfully quiet. It's nothing. I just don't want to talk, that's all. When the team arrives at the Hokage Tower to report, Naruto pulls Yugito out of the room saying that he wants to introduce her to Gaara. Running through the street, Yugito notices that the villagers are all staring oddly at them. However, they are not staring at her with any kind of malice. Instead, they are smiling at them in such a way that makes it difficult for her to stand next to Naruto without blushing. The pair eventually stops in front of a mansion with 3 children playing in the yard outside. Hey, I'm home. I brought along a new friend. Hey Naruto. So that's where you've been the whole morning, huh? That's right, Tamari-chan. My dad told me to receive our guest from Kumo, Naruto says. Oh, that's right. Guys, This is Yugito-chan. Yugito-chan, these three are Tamari, Kankuro, and Gaara. They are Kazekage-sama's children. I see, Yugito says. Regardless, can you answer my question now? Yugito-chan, Gaara, please come with me. When Kankuro wants to go along with them, he's chased back by a wall of sand. Chuckling nervously, Naruto leads the pair to his room. On his way, Naruto hears Tamari screaming something about burning dolls and turns toward Gaara for answers only to receive a look that says, "Don't ask." All right, take a seat while I check something out. After making sure that no one is spying on them, Naruto turns back toward the group and nods toward Ginkgo, who is lying next to Yugito. I guess we can begin, Ginkgo says as Gaara and Yugito stare at the fox in shock. I am sent by Kyuubi-sama to protect Naruto until he is strong enough to train with Kyuubi-sama. But why would a Biju be willing to train a human? I thought demons and humans want to have nothing to do with each other, Yugito asks. That is technically true, but who says that Naruto is human? What? All three children screams at the same time. Why is that so surprising to all of you? Ginkgo asks, looking at the three children. Since when did I become a demon? Technically, you're only a Hanyu. As for when, you'll have to ask Kyuubi-sama yourself. Then how are you so sure that I'm a demon? Kyuubi-sama told me he chose you, did he not? That means that he has chosen you to be his successor. In order for you to succeed him, you have to be a demon. When he says that you're not ready, it means that you are not a complete demon. There are signs, it's just that you never pay any attention to them. For example, since Kyuubi-sama isn't sealed in you, how can you have this much chakra and the rapid healing ability? Naruto-san, why do you seem so surprised? Yugito asks. I've never heard anything about this either. Then perhaps we should leave while you sort out this problem, Gaara says. No. This involves both of you as well, Jinchuriki of Shukaku and Jinchuriki of Nekomata. You mean Ease. Nekomata, yet another Biju. Since neither of your seals are produced by any kami, Naruto and Kyuubi-sama should be able to separate you from your Biju if Naruto can actually learn how to control his demon chakra. But wouldn't they die if we do that? No. If you forcibly remove them, probably, but this ritual is fairly safe for Jinchurikis and Bijus as long as, like I said, that the seal isn't produced by any kami. Of course, there are side effects, but still. What do you mean side effects? Yugito asks, glaring at Ginkgo. You will become Hanyas just like Naruto. As for whether you will become their successors or not, that depends on Ikibi-sama and Nibi-sama. I don't care about that. It's not like I don't get treated like a demon already. Don't worry, Yugito-chan. You'll be fine here. No one will treat you that way. So what are we supposed to do to prepare? Gaara asks. Just what you would do as ninja training. All you need is a healthy enough body to survive the extraction. Standard ninja trainings should be good enough. Good. I intend to become the strongest ninja in the entire world when I grow up anyway, Yugito says. My father has already prepared me to become a ninja, Gaara say, though I might have a better chance to succeed here than in Suna. I can tell my dad to put the three of us on the same team when we grow up. We'll be the strongest team in history. Even stronger than the Sannin. That would require for all of you to become ninjas first, Ginkgo says, putting her head on Yugito's lap. I'm not worried about Yugito or Gaara. You, however, is different story. Ginkgo-chan, you're so mean, Naruto says. Are you three in there? A voice asks. What do you want, Dad? Naruto. It's nice that you three are becoming quick friends, but don't you think we should show Yugito her room first? Oh, that's right. Come on, Yugito-chan. It has been a couple of years since Yugito arrived in Konoha. During the 2 years, Gaara's seal has stabilized considerably with help from Naruto, Ginkgo and Yondaime. When the news reaches Suna, the Kazekage sends a delegate to bring his children back to Suna, but only Kankuro agrees to go back. Temari is already in her first year of the Ninja Academy and Gaara wants to remain in Konoha so he can be present when it's finally time for Shukaku to be removed from his body. In accordance with Ginkgo's suggestions, Naruto, Gaara, and Yugito's skills have improved by leaps and bounds with constant training. In a couple of years, the three will be entering the Ninja Academy, but their skills have easily reached Genin level even without using their tenant's powers. At the moment, Naruto is sitting in the Hokage's office with Ginkgo, Gaara and Yugito. All right Naruto, not that I don't appreciate you visiting me, but what is the real reason you four are sitting here? I've been meaning to ask Naruto the same thing. We should be training right now. Relax Yugito-chan. I know there has been a lot of missions for the village lately, so I figure we should come here and see who we want as our Junin instructor. Isn't that a bit early Naruto? You three still haven't entered the academy. Besides, there is no guarantee that the three of you will be placed on the same team. Dad, Naruto says, with a dark smirk that causes Minato to gulp, we will be placed on the same team, right? Of course. I don't see why you won't be. Hokage-sensei, why did you let Naruto-kun scare you into agreeing to something? Rin, Minato's newest assistant, asks, walking into the office with another pile of paperwork. Naruto can be very convincing when he wants to, Minato says, clearing his throat to hide his embarrassment. Anyway, has any teams returned yet? Yes, Kakashi-kun's squad is waiting outside. Oh, send them in. Nodding her head, Rin walks back outside and soon, Kakashi, Asuma, Kurenai, and Guy enter the office. Seeing the smile on Guy's face and the exasperated looks on the other three's faces, Naruto can't help but laugh, which causes Guy into another speech about youth and Kakashi, Asuma, and Kurenai to turn and glare at the blonde boy. That is very nice Guy. However, I'm more interested in hearing about the mission. Hi, Hokage-sama, Asuma says, cutting in, we managed to track down an assistant to the former daimyo of Yuki no Kuni. However, when we lead him to Koyuki Heim upon our return, Koyuki Heim has refused to leave with the assistant. They are currently waiting outside the office. Oh, please send them in. Greetings Hokage-sama, the 11 years old Koyuki says as she walks in with a middle-aged man. My apologies for troubling you at this time Hokage-sama. Excuse me, your name is? Oh, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sandayu. Sandayu-san. I have heard of the predicament from my ninjas. How do you propose to resolve the problem? It is up to the princess to decide her future. It would seem that she has her mind set on remaining in Konoha and it would be my duty to honor her wishes. However, I would like to ask Hokage-sama to arrange a dwelling more appropriate than the simple apartment that the princess is residing in. But I thought Kakashi and Rin lives in a house. Koyuki Heim asked Rin if she could move out last year due to certain noises. So we found her an apartment near our house, Kakashi answers. I see. It would be highly unnerving for me to see the princess living by herself, and since she refused to allow me to live with her, I am hoping that Hokage-sama can find another place for Koyuki Heim. It's up to her to decide, but I suppose I can allow her to move into the Hokage mansion. Yugito and Temari are very good friends with Koyuki Heim, so it should be appropriate. It would be great if I can live with Temari-chan and Yugito-chan. I suppose that is to your satisfaction as well. Of course. That is more than satisfactory. Well, then I guess this matter is settled. I would like to remain in Konoha as well, so if it's not too much trouble, would it be possible for me to move into Koyuki Heim's apartment? Sandayu asks. Of course. It doesn't make much sense for us to leave it empty. Since it's going to be rented out again anyway, I don't see why you can't live there. Thank you Hokage-sama. With the matter settled, Minato orders everyone in the room, including the three children, to go to Koyuki's apartment and help her move into the Hokage mansion. Just as everyone is filing out of the office, Minato notices Naruto pulling Guy to the side. Naruto-kun, is there something you want to tell me? Well, yes. Have you thought about adopting someone? I do not know if I would have the time. But adopting is the youthful thing to do. Naruto says, knowing exactly which buttons to push to get the response he wants. Of course. I shall adopt every orphan in the village. Why don't we just start with one first? Why? Naruto-kun, do you have someone in mind? Yes. You see, Gaara, Yugito-chan, and I were playing yesterday and we spotted an orphanage. There is someone inside that tries so hard to become a ninja that I think your youthfulness will certainly help him on his quest. Naruto says, trying to keep up with Guy's enthusiasm. Naruto-kun, you must tell me where this orphanage is and what is that child's name. I don't know the exact name of the orphanage, but it's the one near the tower, and the boy's name is Rock Lee. Thank you, Naruto-kun. I shall go and adopt him now lest his enthusiasm of becoming a ninja dampens and he loses his youthfulness. Go ahead, I'll tell the others you'll join us later with good reasons, Naruto says as Guy runs off. Well, that takes care of that. The way you're changing everything, you won't know what will happen in the future now, Minato says, walking up next to his son. That's the point. If what happened in my last lifetime happens again, it'll be too late to reverse the damage, Naruto says. Besides, I failed them last time. I'm not going to let that happen again. Anything I should know that will happen soon. You know someone by the name of Uchiha Itachi. Of course. He's the genius of the Uchiha clan. Does he have a good friend by the name of Uchiha Shisui? Yes. What are you trying to get at? Itachi will try to massacre the entire Uchiha clan with the power of the Mangekyo Sharingan. The death of Uchiha Shisui will be the sign. I think you should try to protect Shisui instead of letting Itachi kill him. The Mangekyo Sharingan will be very difficult to deal with. I'll keep that in mind. You have something to do. Go ahead. Oh, and when this is done, I want to take a trip out of town. Any particular reason? You'll see. I'll send Asuma and Kurenai to go with you. Okay. Well, I should get going. Kakashi and the others will wonder what's taking so long. After helping Koyuki and Sandayu settle in, Minato assigns Asuma and Kurenai to accompany Naruto on a trip out of town. Naruto was hoping to leave without anyone else noticing. However, Gaara and Yugito caught wind of the trip and demanded that they tag along as well. Naruto begrudgingly agreed to let the pair tag along, thinking that it might be more beneficial if they are present. So how far away is this place we're going again? Yugito asks. We should be almost there. The town should only be a couple of miles away. Another couple of miles. We've been traveling for 2 days already. Yugito screams. Hey, Kurenai, is that town the one I think it is? Asuma whispers while the children are arguing. I think so, but there must be a good reason why Hokage-sama wants us to go there. Just before the group walks into the town, Naruto asks Yugito and Gaara to transform into adults with the Henge no Jutsu so they can blend in. What surprised Asuma and Kurenai more than seeing the children's ability to use the genjutsu so flawlessly is the fact that Ginkgo also transformed into a small dog. Shrugging it off as a genjutsu created by the children, Asuma and Kurenai simply follow the 3 children into the town with Naruto in the lead. Now where would she be? Naruto says to himself. Where would who be Naruto-kun? Kurenai ne-chan. Do you know where is the most famous casino in the town? Don't you think you are a bit young to be gambling? This is important, Asuma ni-san. It should be over this way. Following Asuma's direction, the group stops in front the largest building in town. Before the 2 adults can ask any questions, Naruto walks inside confidently, followed closely by Yugito and Gaara. Looking around, Naruto calmly walks toward a table where a gray-haired elderly woman and a teenage girl is sitting at. The 2 women took a quick look at him before returning to their own business. A few rounds later, the old woman is trembling in rage while the teenager is doing her best to calm the old woman down. All right, brat. What is the big idea of betting against me every round? There's no rule saying I can't do that, right? Why, you little. Please calm down. There's no need to draw so much attention on ourselves, the teenage girl says. You're right, let's go. I've had enough of this kid. As the old lady stands up and walks away, Naruto stretches and stands up as well and follows the two women out of the casino. By then, it's clear to the two women that Naruto's group is following them. Running up the street at a speed much faster than someone her apparent age should be able to run at, the old lady pulls the teenage girl around the corner. When the group finally catches up, they find themselves in an empty dead-end alley. Hey Ginkgo-chan, Naruto says, turning toward the fox-turned puppy, can you find them for me? Ginkgo bares her fangs and growls at Naruto in protest before submitting and tries to pick up the scent. Before Ginkgo can even get serious, the two women walk out from behind them at the entrance of the alleyway. So, who are you and why are the five of you following us? There you are, Tsunade-ba-chan. Did you just call her Tsunade-sama, Naruto? Kurenai asks. No, he just called me an old lady. Well, you are, Yugito says. If you kids are any better with your craft, you'd see that this is just a henge, Tsunade says. Oh, I can see through the henge just fine, Yugito says smugly, but that doesn't change the fact that you're still old. Yugito, be quiet, Tsunade-sama is one of the strongest ninjas in history. Relax, Asuma ni-san. Besides, Yugito-chan is right, it doesn't change the fact that she's still old. And since when do strong ninjas rely on henge no jutsu to avoid debt collectors? Debt collectors. You three kids should be grateful that the two older ones are wearing Konoha headbands, or else I would have attacked a long time ago. Let's go, Shizune. I don't have time for this. What? Too busy to even listen to how I can help you pay off some of your debt? Naruto says. Keep talking, Tsunade says, turning around to face Naruto again. Yugito-chan, we made quite a killing at the table just now, didn't we? Good enough to quadruple what we walked in with. Get on with it, kid. You have some gambling tools on you, right? I have some dices. One roll, whoever has the highest total wins. If you win, you take the money. What if you win? You come back to Konoha with us. And I want to do that. Why? Well, if that's the case. I made enough to pay 2 chunins for the B-ranked protection mission. It's a nice vacation, let's go home now. Wait. Fine. You got a deal, Tsunade says before muttering, can't believe I let a kid blackmail me. Well, let's go then. Alright, you go first. Taking the dice out of Tsunade's hands, Naruto rolls the dices and gets 2 ones and 1 2. Laughing, Tsunade snatches the dices off the ground and promptly rolls 3 ones. The legendary strikes again, Naruto says, rolling on the ground in laughter. That one doesn't count. This is the real one. Rolling the dices again, Tsunade gets 1 5 and 2 6s. Still shaking slightly in laughter, Naruto picks up the dices and rolls 3 6s. Staring at the 3 dices in shock, Tsunade starts trembling in anger. Fine. You win. We'll go back to Konoha. Doesn't mean I have to stay there anyway. We have to go back to the hotel to pack. Let's go then. We have one more stop to make before going back Konoha. One more stop, Kurenai says, looking over toward Asuma. After checking out of the hotel, Tsunade and Shizune follows Naruto's group out of the town. It doesn't take very long for Tsunade to see where Naruto is leading them. You're not thinking about getting him, are you? Yeah, but I don't trust him around someone as pretty as Kurenai-chan. So I wanted you to come along to keep him in line. Aren't you a bit young to be trying those lines on a girl, Naruto? What does Kurenai-chan being pretty or not have to do with how old I am, Asuma ni-san? You scared that Naruto might steal your girl away, Asuma? Tsunade jokes. Che. I don't know what you're talking about, Asuma says, turning his head away blushing. About 2 days later, the group stops at a famous hot spring town about a day's travel away from Konoha. By this time, everyone besides Naruto is at the limits of their patience. Outside of Naruto and Tsunade, no one knows why the group has to travel for so long and still isn't resting comfortably in Konoha. Kurenai, Shizune, and Yugito forgave Naruto briefly when he mentioned the town's special attraction, but their anger returned tenfold when he told them they couldn't rest until they find their second target. They only relaxed somewhat when Tsunade told them it's in their best interest. So where should we go now that we're here? Yugito asks. You all go and check in at that hotel. I'll go and start looking for my target, Naruto says. I'll go with you. I'll convince him to come to Konoha with us, Tsunade says. You seem eager. If I'm going back there to suffer, I'm taking him with me, willingly or not. All right, let's go Tsunade-ba-chan. Let's go and interrupt Ero Sennin's research. Tsunade-sama, perhaps I should go with you. No Shizune, you go with the others. Remember, you girls stay away from the hot springs until we come back. Oh, okay. I never thought you'd be so eager to go back to Konoha Tsunade-ba-chan, Naruto says after the others leave for the hotel. What? The quicker we find Ero Sennin, the quicker we get out of town, the quicker we get back to Konoha. I guess the thrill of pounding that old buffoon to the ground outweighs the negatives. Hey, you call him an old buffoon but you won't admit that you're old yourself. Young man, I'll have you know that women are like fine wine, the more time they have to develop, the better they become. Yeah, and if you let them develop too long they turn into vinegar. I don't mind drinking wine, but vinegar. Blah. I'll have you know that vinegar happens to be very good for your body. It might be for you, but I ain't interested. Tsunade's eyebrow twitches at Naruto's retort. She contemplates killing the boy then running off with his money, but she realizes that she'd be leaving Shizune behind. Taking a few deep breaths to calm herself, Tsunade turns her attention back to the small boy in front of her. Your name is Naruto, right? Are you Minato's kid? Yeah. How are your folks doing? I haven't seen those two brats ever since I left Konoha. My dad's the Hokage. I don't know much about my mom though. What? I've never seen her my entire life. I guess she didn't make it out of the maternity ward and my dad is not telling me cause he doesn't want me to be sad. Tsunade raises her eyebrow at Naruto's words. Last she remembers, Kushina happens to be a perfectly healthy young woman. While there is always the chance that her health deteriorated or she had complication during childbirth, she ranks the chances pretty low unless there was extreme stress during the process. Tell me kid, when's your birthday? The day Kyuubi attacked, Naruto says, knowing where Tsunade's question is leading. Well, that would explain the stress, but the chances of death is still pretty low. I wonder which hot spring is Ero Sennin peeking in on. Did you just say he's peeking in on a hot spring? I thought you said he's researching, Tsunade asks, all thoughts on Kushina flying out the window. Yeah, that's what he does for his research. It's for his books. Why that no good little, I knew he's a pervert and likes to take a peek every now and then but, just wait till I get my hands on him. Naruto winces as Tsunade stomps through the street, her hands going through the motions of wrangling someone's neck. Fearing for Jiraiya's safety, Naruto quickly rushes up next to Tsunade, hoping to at least be present to save Jiraiya from certain death, though he probably can't do much about the extended hospital visit the old pervert will no doubt endure. Eventually, the pair finds the Sennin sitting up in a tree giggling perversely. Emitting a low growl from her throat, Tsunade knocks the tree over with one punch, which completely shatters the trunk. Even as he's falling to the ground, Jiraiya knows exactly who is responsible for his fall just from seeing the destruction. Hello Jiraiya, Tsunade says, cracking her knuckles. Hello Tsunade. Fancy seeing you here. Even with Naruto wrapping his arms around Tsunade's ankle, the medic nin simply drags Naruto along and proceeds to dish out one of the more painful beatings in Jiraiya's life. Tsunade finally stops when she remembers why they are looking for the old pervert to begin with. Picking him up by the collar, Tsunade glares at Jiraiya, giving him a silent warning to not let her catch him again before dragging him toward the hotel. Tsunade, what are you doing here? Jiraiya asks after finally regaining his senses. To drag you back to Konoha. But Tsunade, you hate that place. Why would you want to go back there? That's none of your business. Beside, I would think you would want to see that student you are so proud of. But I thought the brat. According to this kid, Minato is still alive and well. I've been meaning to ask, who's the runt? My name is Namikaze Naruto, Arrow Sennin. What did you call me? You have no right to complain, Jiraiya. Do you want me to teach another lesson? No, it's okay. Scrambling to his feet, Jiraiya quickly dusts himself off before gesturing for Tsunade to lead the way. Putting her hand on Jiraiya's shoulder to make sure he doesn't try to escape, Tsunade nods toward Naruto, telling him to follow. To say Kurenai, Asuma, and Shizune are shocked when Naruto's group arrives at the hotel is understatement. While Asuma is focused on all the injuries on Jiraiya's body, Kurenai and Shizune have an understanding look on their face when they consider why Naruto and Tsunade won't allow them to use the hot springs. Jiraiya-sama, what happened to you? Asuma says, rushing next to the Sennin. Tsunade-ba-chan happened to him, Naruto says, putting his arms behind his head, I'm heading to my room. The next morning, the group gathers at the lobby of the hotel. After letting Jiraiya suffer through his injuries overnight, Tsunade tends to his wounds so they can head back to Konoha. Jiraiya and Shizune seem surprised by Tsunade's eagerness, but the others wave it off, saying that she just wants this whole ordeal over with. After another day of traveling, the group finally finds themselves in front of Konoha's gates. It appears that the people have already gotten wind of the two Sanin's return, and almost the entire village is crowded around the gates to see if the rumors are accurate. Look at all the people. I didn't know you two are still so popular, Naruto says, remembering distinctly that there weren't nearly this many people the last time around. They must be avid readers of my works. As if anyone would want to read the garbage you write. It might be difficult to get through the crowd, Asuma says before the two Sanin get into an argument. Shall we take to the roofs to avoid the crowd? No. Let's just get this over with, Tsunade says, better do this now than to have them stopping us in the streets at every turn. Naruto studies the crowd as the group wades through slowly. Out of the corner of his eyes, he notices a little girl around his age with large chocolate-colored eyes staring at Tsunade in admiration. One look at her hairstyle and Naruto knows exactly who that is. Tugging at Kurenai's arm, Naruto gestures for the Chunin to lean in before whispering something in her ears. Nodding her head, Kurenai disappears, leaving behind a group of very confused ninjas. Giving them his innocent smile, which only increases their suspicion, Naruto gestures for the group to keep moving. Eventually, the group arrives at the Hokage Tower while aboard Kurenai is waiting with the little girl Naruto spotted. The girl's face brightens up as soon as she sees Tsunade and rushes up to her before Kurenai can try to stop the girl. Tsunade-sama, it's a pleasure to finally meet you, the girl says. Kurenai, who's this? Tsunade asks. I'm not quite sure. Naruto asked me to bring her here. Arigato Naruto-sama, the girl says, bowing toward Naruto. That's all right, Tenten-chan. And what did I tell you about calling me that? Naruto, is she a friend of yours? Asuma asks. Yeah, we met Tenten-chan while Gaara, Yugito-chan, and I were playing at the park one day. She told me one day when we were talking about becoming ninjas that her idol is Tsunade-ba-chan. Ow. Don't call Tsunade-sama that. Tenten screams as she hits Naruto again. There's the Tenten we know, Yugito says. The adults can help but smile as they watch the kids interact with each other. A few minutes later, Kurenai reminds the group that they still have to meet with the Hokage. Naruto makes Tenten go with the group to meet his father despite her claim that she wouldn't be allowed near the Hokage. Tenten is surprised when the entire group is allowed to enter the Hokage's office with a simply wave from Naruto to the assistant. Oh, Naruto, I see that you've returned, Minato says as he notices the people around his son, Jiraiya-sensei. Tsunade ba-chan. Shizune. Minato, you little brat. You and your son are exactly the same. Sorry Tsunade ba-chan, Minato says, shielding himself just in case. It's a pleasant surprise to see the three of you. You should thank this little brat for bringing us back, Tsunade says, ruffling Naruto's hair. Hey, cut it out. Naruto says, swatting away Tsunade's hands. Why don't you all wait outside? Tsunade says, Jiraiya, Minato, and I have some things to discuss. Looking toward the three adults in confusion, the group slowly files out of the room. Back in the office, Jiraiya and Minato notice the change in demeanor on Tsunade and immediately become serious. Now, I want you to tell me exactly what happened 6 years ago. 6 years ago, that's when Kyuubi attacked, right? Minato says. Yes. I want to know what happened. Minato looks hesitant for a moment, something that's not lost on Jiraiya and Tsunade, before telling the two Sannin what happened, leaving out details of the events a couple of years afterward. That's great, Minato, but what really happened? Tsunade asks again. I'm more interested in what happened to Kushina. Ah, Minato looks brightened up for a moment before becoming downcast again. Kushina, of course, she was your favorite. She's still in the hospital. Naruto told me that he thinks she's dead. She's in a coma. Been that way since she gave birth to Naruto, Minato says, still avoiding the other's eyes. The doctor says that they don't know if she'll ever wake up, but every bit of emotional support helps. I've been visiting her every day. Don't you think it would be better for Naruto to see her? I'm not even sure if she'll live. I don't want to get Naruto's hopes up just to lose her. The doctors already said if not for the fact I've been visiting so often, she probably would have died already, Minato says. Besides, she knows what I intended to do to Naruto. I'm not sure if she agrees with my decision. I don't know if she can accept it for Naruto to talk to her. It might worsen her condition. Minato, don't be unreasonable. Naruto is her son. No matter if Naruto has the demon sealed in him or not, she'll still love him. You're right. Well, now that you got that out of the way, I'll start asking my questions, Jiraiya says. So, did you ever figure out why things happened as it did when you tried the ceiling? I think it's best if you ask Naruto. It's not my story to tell. What is that supposed to mean? Jiraiya asks. Naruto wants to keep that a secret. I tend to agree with him. What does that little kid have to hide? Tsunade asks, the conversation piquing her curiosity. I can only say there is a lot more to the little kid than what meets the eyes. Well, if I'm not going to get any more information, I think I'll visit Sarutobi-sensei. You go ahead, Jiraiya. Tell Sarutobi-sensei I said hi and that I'll drop by later, Tsunade says. Minato and I have to visit someone first. And I better not find you out of this village or peeking in on hot springs. But Tsunade, Jiraiya says as Tsunade glares at the Sennin. Wait. This isn't about the hot springs. It's just that, well, I don't think you should go see Kushina with your hemophobia and all. I've gotten over it. At least I think I did. I've been practicing the last 2 days after Naruto told me that he thinks Kushina is dead. Why would you? I think I would be quite well aware of my favorite apprentice's health conditions, Jiraiya. I find it highly improbable that she would die from childbirth. Actually, I am surprised that her condition is bad as what Minato said. I guess I gave the doctors more credit than they deserved. I'll have my hands full training them. Train them? Does that mean you will stay in Konoha? Minato asks. I'm not going to leave Kushina like this. I guess I'll stay until she recovers. It's been a couple of months since Naruto brought back the two Sannin. Ever since Tsunade had the talk with Minato, he has been a lot more forthcoming with Naruto about Kushina's conditions as well as everything he feels his son should know about his mother. Kushina's condition has also been improving consistently with Tsunade's care as well as Naruto's presence. Also in that short period of time, the two veteran ninjas found out firsthand just how cunning the prized young trio is, especially their de facto leader Naruto. In those 2 months, they had already gotten Jiraiya to promise to stop peaking for a year to the joy of the Kunoichi population of Konoha and for Tsunade to stop gambling and drinking for a year much to the happiness of Shizune. Being as famous as the two Sannin are, they can't go back on their words, especially since Naruto, Yugito, and Gaara deemed it fit to announce the news to the entire village. During that time, Naruto also managed to make Tsunade take on a new apprentice in Rin, who was best friends with Shizune before Shizune left the village with Tsunade. Unbeknownst to Tsunade, Naruto has more plans for her, but he knows he needs the help of his mother since he found out how close Tsunade is to Kushina from his father. At the moment, the trio is training in one of the training grounds being observed by Jiraiya while Koyuki is playing with Ginkgo on the side, same thing that has been happening for the last couple of weeks ever since Jiraiya was banned from the bathhouses. To say that Jiraiya is shocked by the kids' ability is an understatement, as each of them is at least high genin rank before attending the academy. He already knows about Gaara and Yugito's condition, but he has yet to figure out how Naruto can match them in chakra, which only serves to build the mystery around the young boy as Naruto hasn't exactly been forthcoming with the story Minato talked about to either him or Tsunade. Alright, why don't the three of you take a break? Already. We aren't even tired yet. We just started warming up, Yugito says. I would have thought you already know our training regimen after watching us for 2 weeks. To be fair, he was sleeping for most of those 2 weeks, Naruto-kun. Either that or we were training in a sandstorm I created. Well, we never know where we will be sent on a mission, so it's best to get used to all kinds of environment. That's thinking a bit too far ahead, aren't you, Naruto? You're not going to be traveling too far outside of Konoha unless the missions are C ranked or above. You won't be getting those for a few years yet, Jiraiya says. Don't underestimate us, Ero Sennin. Gaara, Yugito-chan and I can handle anything. In fact, I bet the three of us can defeat you in an all-out fight. Oh ho. You really think so, do you? What are you going to put on it? Double or nothing. If we win, we double your punishment. If you win, you're freed of your obligations. Now I'm really going to take this seriously. Naruto and Yugito move in front of Gaara as Jiraiya gets into his stance. The three kids run at Jiraiya as soon as he gestures for them to proceed. Jumping to the side, Naruto attacks Jiraiya from his right while Yugito moves in from his left. Going though hand seals, Jiraiya's hair starts to stretch and covers his body with his ninpu, Harijizo. Just before Naruto and Yugito jump right into the spikes, Gaara's sand wraps around their waist and pulls them back and another sand column thrusts forward pushing Jiraiya back. When the sand column collapses, Jiraiya's hair starts to soften, but instead of shortening to its original length, it gets longer and wraps around all three youngsters with his Ranji Shigami no Jutsu. Just as Jiraiya is about to ask them to surrender, the trio dissipates into sand. Before he can even wonder when the kids switch to Suna Bunshin, Jiraiya feels a slight shift in the ground and leaps up to avoid the Doden, Shinjiu Zanshu no Jutsu by Naruto. While in the air, Jiraiya can't help but feel a slight chill from Naruto's smirk. As soon as his feet land on the ground, Jiraiya starts sinking into a swamp from Naruto's Doden, Yamanuma. All around the swamps, sand pillars start rising from the muddy water pointing to sky. Following the needle, Jiraiya looks up just in time to see Yugito leaping over the swamp. A lightning jutsu later, Jiraiya is lying unconscious on the ground, the swamp and the pillars long since disappeared. Jiraiya should have listened to his own advice and take the spar seriously, a voice says from the entrance. Tsunade Ba-chan, what are you doing here? Minato is with Kushina, so I decided to give them some time alone. Shizune and Rin are at the hospital just in case something happens. Tsunade says, I'll just revive the old pervert and let you explain to him how he lost. Where am I? Jiraiya asks when Tsunade is done. You are still in the training ground, where you got your butt kicked. That's quite a genjutsu. I couldn't break out of it. It wasn't a genjutsu arrow senin. The pillars that Gaara created are called Saraishin. It takes Yugito's Raiden, Gion and pass the electricity to the ground like a lightning rod. However, in this case, since the pillars are in the middle of the swamp, it's passed into the swamp instead. Since water conducts electricity, it charged the entire swamp, with you in it. How did you come up with tactics like that? It's all Naruto-kun's idea. He said we should come up with tactics that uses each of our strengths since we got Hokage-sama to put us on the same team when we graduate. It was rather ingenious. I for one did not know my sand can be used as a lightning rod. I never thought you would have Earth Chakra Affinity Naruto. I don't Tsunade Ba-chan. I have Wind Chakra Affinity. Then how can you perform those Doden Jutsu so well? I'm the one that came up with the tactic, it won't do if I fail my part. So I practice a lot. Then why don't you try using Fuden Jutsu instead? I can't. Fuden, Daitapa and Fuden, Renkuden would just blow you away instead of holding you down. I could use Kanashibari no Jutsu and let the sand tower lead to your feet, but any skilled ninja can break out of that easily. Instead of suggesting for them to change, you should be grateful that the kids held back. If Yugito uses full power with her jutsu, you would have died from the electric shock. I still think Minato is overdoing it. Sure, the other clans teach their kids some simple techniques, but to teach kids that aren't in the academy yet techniques like Doden, Yamanuma, Raiden, Gion, Fuden, Daitapa, Fuden, Renkuden, and Kanashibari no Jutsu are a bit much. Let it go, Jiraiya. It's not like it's doing any harm to the kids, Tsunade says before thinking to herself. However, it does seems a bit odd that they perform all those high-level technique and doesn't look the least bit tired. Looks like I'm just in time to take you kids to lunch. Jiraiya-sensei, Tsunade Ba-chan, do you two want to join us? No, I better get back to the hospital. I still have a lot of work I need to do. I just wanted to catch some fresh air. I'll pass. I promised Sarutobi-sensei that I'll have a drink with him. It's your loss. Tsukiji-san's cooking is the best, Naruto says while shooting a dirty glare at his father. If Minato notices the glare, he is doing a good job ignoring it. If he was hesitant before, he is downright scared of hiring Tsuki to be the family chef now. He has no doubt that Kushina will recover, especially since she is now under the care of the famed slug Sanin. He used to like Tsuki's cooking just as much as Naruto does, but Kushina beat it into him early on in their relationship that she will not allow her boyfriend to eat such unhealthy food for every meal of the day. In fact, she forbade him from eating ramen for a whole month once. If she ever finds out Naruto inherited that trait from his father and he is spoiling Naruto without her permission, Minato has no doubt that Kushina will have his head the moment she can get off that hospital bed, and that is a prospect he is not looking forward to. Suddenly, someone fires a red signal flare into the air from the village. One look at the flare and Tsunade starts running back to the village. Tsunade Ba-chan, what happened? Minato asks as everyone starts running alongside Tsunade. Rin and Shizune are calling me back. Something major is happening. What exactly is happening? I don't know. I told them to use the flare if something happens and they can't handle it themselves. Just as the group is talking, someone fires a green signal flare into the air. Tsunade's concerned look changes to a happier one, but she still doesn't slow down. Minato, Naruto, I need you two to come to the hospital with me. Why? Is it about Kushina? I can't be sure yet since I'm not there, but I think you two should be there just in case. She has been showing signs for a few days now, I just haven't told you because I'm not sure if it's because she's starting to wake up or if it's just muscle spasms. When I gave Shizune and Rin the flares, I told them to use the red if it's an emergency, the green if it appears that Kushina is coming to. Jiraiya-sensei, please take the 3 kids back to Minato's place. Naruto and I need to be at the hospital, Minato says before coming to a complete stop. Tsunade-sama, please slow down. What are you doing, Minato? We need to be at the hospital now. I left behind a kunai in Kushina's room. We'll use my special technique. When the group arrives at the hospital room with the Hiraishin no Jutsu, they find Shizune and Rin pacing about the room nervously. Making her apprentices push Minato and Naruto outside, Tsunade starts checking on Kushina's condition. A few moments later, Tsunade emerges from the room and gestures for the 2 Namikaze to follow her inside. She's up, but she is still very weak. She should be resting and trying to build up energy right now, but she wants to see the 2 of you first. Kushina-chan. Minato screams as he rushes to his wife's side. Okawa-san. Minato-kun. Naruto-kun. Kushina whispers as she tries to reach out but is stopped by Minato. Tsunade-ba-chan, how much longer is Kushina going to stay in the hospital? Given how long she was out, another month at least, and that's with the help of medical ninjutsu, Tsunade says, but all the signs are good. She should be able to make a full recovery. Of course, that's not to say I recommend she rejoin the ranks of Konoha Nins once she recovers. Ah, but Tsunade-ba-chan. No, and you and your family have best stop calling ba-chan. Tsunade says as Kushina lets out a weak smile that quickly morphs into a yawn. All right. Everyone out. She needs to rest. I'll be back tomorrow, Kushina-chan. Me too, Okawa-san. It has been a couple of months since Kushina woke up. Tsunade released her from the hospital a couple of weeks ago and she can now move around with the help of a wheelchair. At the moment, she is sitting in the training ground with Minato watching their son training with his friends. Minato-kun, what do you think about Yugito-chan? What do you mean? She seems like a nice girl, doesn't she? She's pretty close to Naruto-kun too. Kushina-chan, I don't think we should get involved in this, Minato says, already knowing what his wife has in mind. Tamari-chan and Koyuki-chan seem like they like Naruto-kun too. I wonder if any one of them is capable of fighting off the others like what I did. And I wonder if Naruto can fight off the council as well as I did. Ero Sennin hasn't corrupted my Naruto-kun, has he? I've been paying special attention in keeping him from teaching Naruto anything inappropriate, Minato says before whispering to himself, not that it makes any difference. What do you mean, Minato-kun? What do you mean it won't make any difference? Kushina-chan, there's something you need to know about Naruto. I think it's best if you hear it from him, however, Minato says before gesturing toward Naruto. Hey Naruto, I need to get back to work. Why don't you spend some time with your mother? Nodding his head, Naruto rushes over to Kushina's side with Ginkgo as Tamari starts training with Gaara while Yugito shows Koyuki a few moves so she can protect herself. Naruto-kun, your father told me there is something I should know about you, but he won't tell me what it is and that I should ask you myself. So he told you that, huh? I don't know if I should tell you just yet. You just got out of the hospital. Give your mom a bit more credit. I am just fine. Now, what is the big secret that you and your father are keeping from me? Closing his eyes and taking a deep breath, Naruto tells Kushina a shortened version of everything that happened in his previous life as well as its effect on his current life. When he finally finishes his story, Naruto looks up at Kushina to gauge her reaction, but he only sees a blank look on her face. Mom, are you alright? That's a good one, Naruto-kun, Kushina says after a few moments. So how long did it take for you and your father to come up with that story? He didn't lie. I heard the same story from Kyuubi-sama himself, Ginkgo says. Kushina stares wide-eyed at the silver fox. Putting her hands together, Kushina tries to dispel the genjutsu she believes she is caught in. When she finally realizes that the talking fox isn't an illusion, she turns her shocked eyes on her son, who looks back with concerned eyes. Cammy, you weren't joking around, Kushina whispers before stealing her glare. Why, I ought to kill all those villagers for treating you like that. I told Minato the people will never see you as the hero. Kushina continues and softens her glare. Though it's nice what you did for Hinata-chan and Yugito-chan, Naruto-kun. So that's why you didn't want me to be a Jinchuriki. That's right. It must have been tough for you without either Minato-kun or I, Kushina says, wrapping her arms around her son. Now, I don't think I heard anything about my future daughter-in-law. I never married. What? Why? I guess with everything about Akatsuki and Odo, I just never had the time to think about it. We can't have that happen this time around. Minato-kun and I won't allow it. It won't, Ginkgo says, ing her paw. How would you know, Ginkgo-chan? You'll see in due time. Both Kushina and Naruto stare at Ginkgo in confusion, but the silver fox closes her eyes and rests her head on Kushina's lap. Kushina and Naruto huff and glare at the fox at the same time, which draws a chuckle from someone behind them. Sometimes you two act so much alike it's scary. He is my son Tsunade Ba-chan. Why, you little, stop calling me that. I brought you back from a coma, show some respect. Kushina and Naruto both stick their tongue out at Tsunade, which draws another chuckle from the person standing next to Tsunade. And what are you laughing at, Ero Sennin? Why, you little brat, even your father doesn't call me that. Good job, Naruto-kun. That's exactly who he is, Ero Sennin. Kushina, you're ruining the youths of Konoha. You should be teaching them how to respect the elders, not encouraging them to talk to us like he does. You deserve exactly what you get, Ero Sennin. What did you call me, Tsunade Ba-chan? That's it. Naruto-kun, let's get out of here. We don't want to get in the middle of their fights. Nodding his head, Naruto helps Kushina back into her wheelchair and wheel her away, gesturing for the others to follow them. Mere seconds after the group clears out of training ground, everything inside is reducing to splinters and rubble. A few hours later, a harried Shizune and Rin rush to the training ground after everything has settled to treat the two injured Sannin. Even with the help of Shizune and Rin, it still takes Tsunade and Jiraiya a whole week to completely recover and be released from the hospital. While Tsunade is recovering, Naruto talks to his mother about his plans for Tsunade. After hearing Naruto's plan, Kushina is even more eager than her son to begin the plan. Ahaya, Tsunade Ba-chan. I'm here for my checkup. Don't call me, oh forget it. Just take a seat, Kushina, Tsunade says. Where are Minato and Naruto? Minato-kun is stuck at work and Naruto-kun is playing with his friends after dropping me off here. Don't those two know you still need at least one of them accompanying you? I feel just fine, Tsunade Ba-chan. I can start moving about on my own. I'm sending Rin with you when you leave. Oh, that's okay. Naruto-kun will pick me up with his friends. All right. He seems mature enough to know what he should do if anything goes wrong. If Tsunade is paying attention to Kushina, she would see that Kushina has a brief dark grin when Kushina tells her Naruto would come to the hospital. As such, she is blissfully unaware of what Kushina and Naruto has in store for her. However, Shizune, who is Tsunade's assistant for the day, notices the grin and begins fidgeting, having heard stories of and seen personally some of Minato and Kushina's famous mischief, most of which Naruto has already surpassed at his young age, much to the pride of his parents. Shizune, there's no need to be so nervous. It's just a routine checkup. Gomen Tsunade-sama. Hey Tsunade Ba-chan, what do you think of Naruto-kun? That annoying little brat, sometimes he acts twice his age, sometimes he acts half his age, I don't know how to read him at all. Doesn't looking at him and his friends just makes you want to have a child of your own? So I can have a brat like that annoy me all day? No thanks. Besides, I'm much too old to have a child. You, however, shouldn't have any problem once your body fully recovers if that's what you want to ask. That's nice to know. So, you don't want to have a child at all? Kushina says, covering her disappointment with a weak chuckle. It's not a matter of wanting one or not. 1. I don't have anyone to have a child with. 2. Like I said, I am too old to have one. You can always adopt one. Taking care of Shizune and Rin are already taking too much out of my time. I don't have spare time to take care of a kid. You can get them to help you out with the kid too. Beside, if you adopt one, you can always find one that is old enough to do a decent job taking care of himself or herself. What is this, Kushina? It's almost like you are trying to talk me into getting a kid. And if I am, I'd say you're crazy. Don't be so negative, Tsunade-ba-chan. I bet Shizune-chan would love to have a little brother or sister, don't you, Shizune-chan? Kushina says, remembering what Naruto told her about the plan. Shizune says, surprised at being dragged into the argument. Come on, Shizune-chan, I see how you always look at Naruto-kun and his friends when they are playing. They just remind me of how I was when I was younger playing with Kakashi-kun, Asuma-kun, Genma-kun, Rin-chan, and Kurenai-chan, that's all. So you don't want to have a sibling? Well, that's not exactly it either. So you do want one then? Well, Shizune stutters, fidgeting with her fingers, blushing. All right, if you have any suggestions, Kushina, let's hear it, Tsunade says. I heard that there is this little girl who simply idolizes you. This is all Naruto's idea, isn't it? Tsunade says as she glares at Kushina. If Shizune wants a sibling, then I don't mind taking one in, but I don't want someone who looks at me more like a hero than a mother. Ah, Tsunade-ba-chan, just give Tenten-chan a chance, Kushina says. Are you talking about Naruto-kun's friend? Shizune asks, the one that we met on our first day here in Konoha. Yeah, that's the one she's talking about. She is actually a very nice girl, Tsunade-sama. I'm surprised that she's an orphan, the poor girl. So you approve of her then? Tsunade asks, sighing, knowing she can't win against both women. Yes, but the final decision is yours, of course, Tsunade-sama. Kushina smirks, knowing that the battle is won. It still amazes her how well Naruto understands Tsunade. Of course, she has no reason to doubt the story Naruto told her, but it's amazing how well Naruto can read other people and uses that information to his advantage. When Tsunade finishes Kushina's checkup and walks out of her office together, they find Naruto waiting outside with Tenten sitting next to him, swinging her leg, trying to figure out why the boy brought her along to the hospital. Okawa-san, is everything okay? Yes, the checkup went just fine. Konnichiwa, Kushina-sama, Tsunade-sama, Tenten says, bowing. Ahaya, Tenten-chan. I think Tsunade-sama and Shizune-chan has something to talk to you about, Kushina says, smiling. Naruto-kun and I will just head home now. Smiling toward his mother, Naruto helps Kushina out of the hospital. When the pair gets home, Minato notices the grins on their face and asks them about it. Are you sure that is such a good idea, Naruto? Minato asks after he hears the whole story. Of course. Tsunade-ba-chan kept telling me how much she misses the days when she was watching Shizune grow up whenever Kurenai-sensei brought her son to the Hokage's office. Also, in the time they spent together, Tsunade-ba-chan took a real liking toward Tenten-chan. Even so, I'm still slightly concerned. I bet Tenten-chan can convince Tsunade-ba-chan to stay in the village too, Naruto says, interrupting his father, and if Tsunade-ba-chan is staying, she'll make sure Ero Sennin won't be going anywhere either. Well, that settles it. We'll invite them over for dinner to celebrate tomorrow. Minato-kun, you sure changed your mind in a hurry, Kushina says, giggling. I can't help it. It would be really beneficial to have Tsunade-ba-chan and Jiraiya-sensei here in Konoha. As long as Ero Sennin doesn't go peeking in the hot springs. You mean that pervert still hasn't given up that habit? I'll have Tsunade-ba-chan to teach him a few lessons. But Kushina-chan, Kakashi-kun would be really disappointed if Jiraiya-sensei can't write his books. Give him the choice of having the books or having Rin-chan and let him decide. I don't think Rin really mind Kakashi reading them. Bet she doesn't feel the same about the possibility of Jiraiya peeking on her. Kurenai-sensei and Anko-sensei managed to get him to stop for a while, then he started up again. Once Tsunade Ba-chan died, then he completely stopped, not that he lasted too long afterward. Anko. You mean Orochimaru's student? Minato asks, trying to distract Naruto. Yeah, nice to know the council eventually forgave her for doing absolutely nothing wrong. Not to mention she actually decided to teach. She never actually took a team. She just show up at Konoha 11's meetings every now and then and teach us a few moves. Konoha 11. Oh yeah, I didn't tell you about that nickname. That's the name the villagers came up with for the 4 teams that participated in the Chunin tournament for the first time in my year. Shouldn't 4 teams make 12 people? Oh, they left out Sasuke, didn't they? Yeah, that Tem ended up destroying everything. Who are the other 10 people, Naruto-kun? Sasuke, Tem and I are on the same team with Haruno Sakura-chan under Kakashi-sensei. Nara Shikamaru, Yamanaka Ino-chan, Akamichi Choji are on the same team under Asuma-sensei. Inazuka Kiba, Hyuga Hinata-chan, and Aburame Shino are on the same team under Kurenai-sensei. Hyuga Neji, Tenten-chan, and Rock Lee are on the same team under Gai-sensei. Why would Hiashi and Hazashi ever allow Neji to be placed under Gai? Kushina says, shuddering. Why would anyone allow their child to train under Gai? They don't have any say in team selections, you know that, Kushina. Why did Sandaime-sama let Gai take on a team? Gai must have talked him into it. Once he starts, you'd do anything to get him to stop, Minato says before looking around. Hey, where's Naruto? He was here telling about the teams just a moment ago. Wait, do you smell that, Minato-kun? Ah, he must have been hungry and wandered off to the kitchen. I'm kind of hungry myself, Minato-kun. Go fix lunch. It's been a couple of years since Kushina awakened from her coma. Just like Naruto had predicted, with Tenten by her side, Tsunade decided to stay in Konoha and thus by extension, forcing Jiraiya to stay in Konoha as well. Now at the age of 8, Naruto is clamoring about attending the Ninja Academy the upcoming term. Despite his desire to hold Naruto back another year so Naruto can spend more time with Kushina, Minato agrees to the demands since he has the obligation of entering Gaara into the academy this coming year, and he shudders to think what kind of disaster Naruto will cause if Gaara is the only one allowed to enter. While going through the paperwork in his office and sending messages to Suna updating Gaara's progress, Minato receives an urgent message from Ginkgo telling him to go home. Ignoring protests from his new secretary, Minato rushes home with Ginkgo by his side and finds a man with short flaming red hair sitting in the living room enjoying a cup of tea and talking with Kushina. Kushina-chan, who's this? Oh, Minato-kun, you're home. This young man says that he's your old acquaintance. You let him in just because he says that? No, of course not, silly. Naruto-kun, and Ginkgo-chan says that you know him as well. Yes, it's been 4 years since we last met, Hokage. 4 years? Wait, you